A little boy just 3 months old is dead, and his family in shock after the baby was discovered with severe and deadly injuries. Now, his own father and the father's girlfriend are behind bars. We're speaking with a family friend about this tragic case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. On May 23rd, first responders in Milton, West Virginia were called out to a report of a baby that had gone into cardiac arrest. They found 3-month-old Evander Meadows. They found him with a pulse, but he wasn't breathing, so he was rushed to a pediatric ICU, but sadly he died the following day. But now, an autopsy of the baby revealed he had severe head trauma, including a brain bleed, which was the cause of his death. And there were also marks on Evander's body that were consistent with someone choking him. The doctor performing the autopsy reportedly found, quote, major trauma on the left side of the baby's head that had caused brain hemorrhaging and a damaged blood vessel in the brain that had caused a brain bleed. On June 1st, Milton police put out warrants for Evander's father, Cody Wilson, and Cody's girlfriend, Trisha Grigson. Investigators say Evander was in their care when he got hurt. Police even went so far as to put photos of the two from a surveillance camera, asking anyone who saw them to call the department. And then a few hours later, police say Wilson and Grigson actually turned themselves in. They were arraigned the next day on charges of child abuse resulting in death. And according to the criminal complaint, Grigson was the one who called 911. She reported that Evander was in a baby swing when he spit up and, quote, started breathing weird. Wilson and Grigson claimed that they started CPR and that milk had come out of the baby's nose, and that was followed up by him coughing up blood. Now, Wilson and Grigson had apparently spoken with investigators when Evander was rushed to the hospital, but Patrolman First Class Winston Lloyd told local media that their statements were inconsistent. And once the autopsy came back and showed the very grave nature of Evander's injuries, he wanted to talk to the couple again. Lloyd told the outlet WCHS, quote, I wanted them to come back in and explain their side of the story. Once they promised they would come in, they never showed up. And then with the inconsistencies and the results from the autopsy, it was just evident that we would go ahead and get the warrants. Now, the boy's mother reportedly worked at a local daycare, and that's where Evander apparently spent a good amount of time in the 3 very short months of his life. A Facebook account purporting to be that of Evander's mother commented on the Milton Police Department's post that showed Wilson and Grigson's mugshots, and it said, quote, the smirk on her face makes me sick. My innocent baby is dead, and he didn't even have a chance to live his life. How could anyone have that kind of expression in this situation? I won't speak for Cody because I don't know who played what role, but both were wrong for killing my son or knowing the other did it. They could have called me any time of the day, and I would have come and got him. None of this makes any sense. I pray I get answers and justice for my sweet boy that we deserve. And now we want some different perspective on this. So the child care facility Collins Avenue Ridge Kids Academy in nearby Huntington, West Virginia, is run by LauraBeth Meade. And she started a GoFundMe page to raise money for Evander's funeral services. And LauraBeth joins me right now here on Sidebar. LauraBeth, thank you so much for taking the time. And let me just start by saying this is such a sad case. I am so sorry. He seemed like such a sweet little boy. So I know this isn't easy, but thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
What was Evander like?
He had just started developing his personality. He was only 3 months old. We've had him since he was 6 weeks old, but we've known him here at the facility since he was a week old. His godmother's actually in the room with me right now. She was in the room when he was born. His mom works for us, so we were here through all of our pregnancy, saw his first 3D ultrasounds, all of the things. And he was just really starting to develop his personality and starting to smile and, reach for people and things like that. It's just really sad.
What has been your reaction to all this?
I don't really know how to react in a lot of cases. Compassion, trying to be there for my staff and for his mom and his baby brother. Of course, the natural reaction of anger, and just trying to get Evander's story out there and trying to help his mom meet the needs that she needs financially, because she's on a leave from work now. Plus, obviously, she wasn't preparing to have the expense of bearing her child, plus the emotional distraughtness. And
if you can share, how is she doing?
Not well, but she's handling things. She's really leaning on us for support, which is great. She's just trying to process all of the things. She's just not really sure what to think or how to react. That's part of the reason why I've kind of taken the role of trying to talk to people that are wanting to speak about it. She's just not ready to speak to anybody outside of her inner circle about anything. She's just, obviously, I mean, losing a child is a struggle, regardless of the age, but so young and so devastatingly and so unexpectedly.
Hey, everybody, I want to thank Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's Law and Crime YouTube takeover. If you've seen our videos, you know Morgan & Morgan is a proud sponsor of us here at Law and Crime, and that our content proves that the world is not always safe, and one of the scariest things that can happen to you is if you get hurt, right? Such a traumatic moment. Where do you turn? What do you do next? Well, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, they can help you out. Why? Because they are specialists in this area. They're the largest injury firm because they win a lot. Morgan & Morgan has recently secured verdicts of $12.2 million in Florida, $26.2 million in Philadelphia, and $6.8 million in New York. All of these, by the way, significantly higher than the highest insurance offers in these cases. Yeah, Morgan & Morgan, they don't settle for lowball offers. They fight for your legal rights and for what you deserve in compensation. They also make it super easy for their clients, by the way, because the whole process can be done straight from your smartphone. You can easily start your claim in minutes. Also, there's zero upfront fee. You only pay them if you win. So if you're injured, you could start your claim at forthepeople.com/YouTube takeover or by dialing #law. That's #529 on your phone. How did you find out, and how did you tell the rest of your staff about the death of Evander?
So his mom messaged in a staff messaging app letting us know that he was on his way to be transported to the hospital. We were asking her questions and such in the app, and then she gave us the information she had. She hadn't got to see him yet or anything at that point. She then texted me and another member of our admin individually and let us know that they were they had him on intubation and they were putting in a central line and that sort of thing. So several of the staff went to go be with her. There were 5 of us and then a former staff member that's still very close with the staff that were all there. We stayed at the hospital with her for a while. The doctors finally came in and he spoke to us and let us know what his projected outcome was. They let us know, he let us ask questions, and we just kind of sat there and supported her, and we were kind of preparing ourselves and trying to figure out what the next plan of action was. The next day, I spoke to his mom and his godmom to find out what she wanted me to do with the staff as far as letting them know what his condition was at that point. People were wanting to go visit them and take things up to them and things like that. So another staff member and I began to go the process of telling the entire staff of his condition, at which time we went like a couple staff members at a time around the building and let them know. And I got a text from his godmom saying, hold off, there's been a turn. So we finished telling everybody what had happened in the original happenings, and then 20 minutes after we finished telling the staff the initial report, we went back through and I got a call from his mom saying that he had passed. So we had to go back through to each staff member individually and let them know that he had indeed passed. Most of them I didn't have to say anything. I just looked at them and they just knew. It was devastating.
Incredibly difficult conversations to have. Did you ever observe any injuries on Evander?
No, he was with his mom most of the time. He just started visiting his father. He had been sick with rhinovirus that beginning of the week. So his mom took off the first couple of days, and then he went to stay with his father on Tuesday night. So he was with his dad on Wednesday and Thursday, so that she could come to work. It was kind of her turn, basically, my turn to work and your turn to stay home. So
just to clarify, did you have any kind of interactions with Mr. Wilson or Miss Grigson and themselves?
I had never met her until at the hospital.
Okay.
And then I had only seen his father one other time. They came up to the hospital for a little bit, about 3 hours after he was in there. And they were only there for a very short time, and that was the first time that I had ever seen them.
So no kind of red flags or anything like that?
Not until that day.
And after this came out, did you learn more about them? Did you learn more about them in the sense of, did Evander's mom say anything about this? Was she shocked by it? Because again, it's pretty.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was incredibly shocked. She was completely taken by surprise. She was in denial for a while, saying she didn't know how that could happen. Miss Grigson had just graduated nursing school and had been a CNA for quite some time. She actually had posted that day that she had gotten her license. And his father has another child that Evander's mom had seen his interactions with her, and he had also lost another child prior from a birth defect that was only a few hours old when he lost her. So she was like, she just doesn't understand, and she couldn't see that happening. That was no way something that she had imagined.
What are you hoping for in this case now?
Justice for Evander, healing. I don't really know. Obviously, you can't go back in time, so I don't really know what we're hoping for at this point, other than just for everything, for Brianna to learn the truth, hopefully from the story, the people that were there itself, from his father and from Evander's father's girlfriend, and not have to learn it from the media, which we've done a couple of times. We've learned several things. We've seen stories or whatever, and she's like, well, I didn't know about that aspect of the case. So that's always a shock to your system when you read something about a case that's so personal that you didn't know and you learned from the media.
You talked about what can happen from this. I want you to talk to us about the GoFundMe, why you set it up and how's it going and what people can do if they want to support.
Well, I set it up because obviously she's going to need help financially trying to just pay for the expenses of the final costs of Evander's life. She wants to have him a celebration of life, which we plan to do this weekend. But those things aren't cheap. She's not working right now, and she's a single mom. She's had to take some time off. Obviously when it first happened, she had to be off to be there with him. And then it's just not returning to childcare after the loss of a child I couldn't even imagine, but she does plan on coming back. But I've asked her to just go ahead and stay off until after we've went ahead and had his services, just to give her a little bit of time. We've tried to kind of cut everybody off at the staff off at the pass, asking questions, things like that. And I've kind of been the mouthpiece for the staff, letting them know this is what happened, or this is the condition, or don't say I'm sorry 500 times because it's not going to help. So every time somebody asks her something, she's reliving that.
Sure.
Obviously, I let all of my parents know that we had the GoFundMe and that we had lost a student. I didn't at first let them know that it was a staff child or what child that it was, in order to protect his privacy, the confidentiality. But as soon as it hit locally, then the parents started linking the two together. There aren't very many 3-month-old babies that pass abruptly. And then when I spoke on the news, because Brianna had given me permission to do so, to get out the message about his GoFundMe, all of my parents and the parents in the company knew who it was. So just give her a little bit more time to heal. it's good for her to kind of be off work. Plus the expenses of just everyday life is, doesn't come easily. And then to have the expenses of trying to bury a child, all of the funeral expenses and such on top of it is just, there's nothing else that I know to do other than to try and help in that way.
Is the GoFundMe performing the way that you wanted? Are you seeing support? Because obviously, this is definitely going to amplify it, and people who want to donate and help, they will. But how's it doing so far?
So far, we're at $4,175, I believe. The goal that I had, it was $4,300. It went up since I looked. And my original goal that I had set was $15,000.
Okay.
We did have a major donor in the area that donated $1,000, but a lot of our families pulled together and people locally had pulled together as well. So I put out yesterday that Evander would have been 17 weeks old on the day that we bury him. So if people wanted to do $17, and that would be a good significant amount for his age, or that he would be, 97 days old the day that he passed. So that would also be another amount that would be, a great amount to donate.
Okay, well, hopefully anybody who's watching this will be able to hear that and be able to donate as well, and hopefully you'll be able to reach that goal. Before I let you go, LauraBeth, you mentioned something to me equally as heartbreaking is, obviously a mother losing their child is just unthinkable, but you mentioned he has a brother, Evander, and for a sibling to lose a sibling like this, how is he doing?
He's only 2. He doesn't quite understand it. He does ask where he's been. They've told him that, tried to tell him he's not coming home, but that doesn't really resonate. He has been able to, throughout their lives, Evander has been with his dad some, or his brother Atlas has been at his, at his dad's house and not necessarily with his mom or whatever. So they have been separated some, so it's not an everyday thing that they've seen each other. So it hasn't completely hit him 100% yet, because again, he's only 2. But they were really close. They were very, he always was like, baby brother crying, go get baby brother, let's get baby brother. And I mean, he talked about him all the time. He would, Evander started, that was the one person that you could always rely on him smiling at when he would walk in the room. He also has a 2-year-old sister. She was at the home when the incident happened. But I'm not sure that she would understand either because of the age, but I don't think she's been checked on specifically from us, because it's not it's the father's daughter.
I didn't know about the sister as well. Oh my gosh, it's tough. It's really tough to hear. And the one thing, if you can, just please send the family our best. This is just the most difficult situation you can imagine. Our hearts, our prayers go out to them. Hopefully people will watch this and be able to support the family. But thank you so much for coming on, LauraBeth Meade, breaking down what's happening here, breaking down your experience. And again, so sorry for everyone's loss. This is a really sad case.
We appreciate it.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.